But let's have some fun. Actually look at data, the science, and all these are easy numbers. I'm not getting analytical, anything like that on you. I promise. Very simple, very easy. So I don't want to lose you. So as of March 16th, yesterday, the U.S. reported 40,400 cases, new cases of COVID, 589 deaths, and 35,200 current hospitalizations. Compared to a week ago, they're all down. They've been down on a weekly basis tremendously. Most states have seen these numbers fall by 80% to more than 90% from their peaks, which is awesome, That's what we wanted, right? That's what we needed to see. So now when it comes to vaccinations, we're seeing the rollout. The media is reporting that 21% of the population has taken at least one dose. You'll see that everywhere. And it says, while 11.5% have taken both. And that's data from this week, the latest available. That's pretty good. It's encouraging. But let's dig into those numbers a little further, because I'm surprised this isn't being reported. So the media, when they post those stats, are using the total population, which includes 18-year-old kids and under. Even though there's zero reason for these kids to take the vaccine, and studies haven't been performed on children with vaccines yet, so we're saying, okay, they're going through process now, because it's not priority, because most kids are perfectly fine. They're not at risk of dying from COVID compared to older people. So if we exclude the 18 and younger part of the population, if we exclude them, close to 30% of the population, again, the population is over 18 years old, has gotten one dose already, while 15% received two doses. It's incredible numbers, but it gets even better. We all know who gets impacted the most from COVID. These are people over 65 years old. Now, when we separate that demographic, the 65-year-old and up in the United States, separate from the rest of the population, 64% of these people who are over 65 have received one dose, while 36% have already received both doses. That is an incredible statistic. Why? Because we were told by scientists that 70% of the population needs to be immune before we achieve herd immunity, or needs to get that vaccine. Now, when it comes to people over 65 years old, almost 70% already got one dose. And you're going to get the next dose in 30 days. It's actually 28 days. That's 28 days later is when you get the next. So we're looking at next month, we're going to have pretty close to 70% of our older population and people over 65 have the biggest risk of dying from COVID will achieve herd immunity. Shouldn't that be everywhere? An incredible achievement? Celebrated? Should be a biggest headline in every major newspaper, media site? No way. Nope. Absolutely not. We're just going to report that 21% of the population has taken at least one dose, while 11.5% have taken both. Those are the only numbers you see. And these numbers are all available on a CDC website. But it's not being mentioned in the media anywhere. Why not? Based on these numbers that are on a CDC site right now, why would Biden say that in a few months, close to 4 months, you'll be able to have a small outdoor gathering, maybe a barbecue, outdoors? Again, 4 months, why would he say that based on this data? I mean, if you're looking at it, again, 80% of the people who are most risk of dying from COVID will be fully vaccinated. And the reason that number is not going to be close to 90, 95% is because some people don't want to take the vaccine in that age group. That's their choice. That's fine. You have your own choice. It's America. If you want to take it, take it. I would advise you to take it if you're over 65 because you're at risk of this. And most people over 65 have an underlying condition. And those that don't, good for you. It's hard to stay healthy. Man. Now, why is this relevant to an investment podcast? Probably what you're asking. So if you subscribe to any of my services, you know I always provide the risks and rewards of each investment. So in short, is the risk that you're taking enough to justify the potential reward? You look at both sides of the equation. I would love to tell you that every one of my investments is going to go higher at least by 100%, 12, 24 months, and I'm always right. Always. I'd love to tell you that. I'm right more times than I'm not, otherwise I'd have a different job. That's why I have a lot of subscribers. But I always look at the risks. That's my job. The risks of picking this stock and how much will we lose if I'm wrong? And there's tons of data analysis that goes into that decision. But in the end, there's always a trade-off. So if I'm right on this, the stock is probably going to go up more than 100% in 24 to 36 months. But if I'm wrong, we'll lose 25% because I place stops. And maybe 35% for smaller names, a little bit more volatile and have much more upside. But there's always trade-offs. There's trade-offs. It's not just buy this, it's going to go higher. Yeah, no. Now, when it comes to our government and all the scientists that provide data and analysis to our president, to both presidents, to Trump when he was president and to Biden, was there not one that looked at the risks of locking down the economy and what would happen to us? What would happen? Mask wearing, social distancing, how that could actually hurt people? Because I didn't see any analysis on that pretty much the whole entire time until like this week, past couple of weeks. The only analysis I saw was based on opinion and how to stop the spread of COVID and why we need to focus on this. It's interesting that we're a year in, guys, over a year in. Because new data is coming out every day, every week, showing what lockdowns have done to our children, to our parents, to our society. Like data from the CDC showing between April and October 2020, hospital emergency departments saw a rise in the share of total visits that were from kids for mental needs. The Riley Hospital of Children in Indianapolis showing a 250% increase in the amount of children and teen suicide attempts in 2020. Why weren't we looking at the risks of locking everything down and keeping everyone home and closing schools? Nobody did analysis on this? Why? Why didn't you get economists involved? Why didn't you get doctors involved? Really? Why? How researchers with the National Commission on COVID-19 and Criminal Justice saw a 30% rise in homicide rates in the largest cities in America, which include rising homicide rates in 29 of the 34 largest cities. Locked down, but let certain people out. And yeah, crime's going to increase. Why? Because there's no cops on the streets because you're defunding police. From the U.S. CF Benioff Children's Hospital in Oakland, with suicide rates among kids more than doubled in the fall of 2020 compared to the fall of 2019. The London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine reviewed 65 studies from around the world involving 97,000 healthcare workers. We're talking about healthcare workers here, right? This is, first response people we care, they risk their lives every day. They found that 1 in 5, to be exact, 22%, have experienced depression, anxiety, or PTSD during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. It makes sense, right? With everything that they saw and how stressful it is and how crazy it is and hospitals got overcrowded, emergency rooms got overcrowded. It makes sense, right? The anxiety, seeing people die. And this compares to around 4.4% of the entire world population that experience anxiety disorders. But just in healthcare workers alone, it was 22%. Yet NBC, who gathered data on ranges of children welfare metrics, this is recently, said emergency rooms have seen a 24% increase in mental health-related visits from children's ages 5 to 11 compared to last year. Food banks have been slammed with hungry families, as an estimated 17 million children, many largely cut off from free school lunches, are now in danger of not having enough to eat. That's an increase of more than 6 million hungry children compared to pre-COVID. More and more of these tests are coming out. National Testing Organization reported the average student grades 3 to 8 who took a math assessment this fall scored 5 to 10 percentile points behind students who took the same test last year, with Black, Hispanic, poor students falling even further behind. An estimated 3 million vulnerable students who are homeless in foster care, have disabilities, or are learning English appear to not be in school at all. We're talking, guys, tens of millions of kids, our future generations, the future of America. You closed schools, even though you had data available. And look what's happening. What are the consequences of nobody looked at the other side of the equation. You're not going to stop every single death from COVID. Absolutely not. You can. That's what politicians will tell you. We're going to eradicate. It's going to be gone. No, it's not. We want to try to prevent as many deaths as possible, to get the vaccine to as many people as possible, to lower the risk as much as possible. But we have to make sure that the rest of the world, 99.5% who survived this, and 98% who are really not at risk of dying at all, need to live their lives. Kids need to go to school. People need to go to work. When it comes to kids, I'm seeing the same thing with my oldest daughter, who's really behind. And schools opened up pretty quickly in Florida. But I'm helping her get back up to par, studying with almost every day. She had trouble with math and reading. Because most of this is online in terms of the homework assignments and tests taken on the computer. A lot of this stuff, doesn't get inputted. It gets lost. Homework assignments, teachers forget to put the data in. So not everything is automated. But there's still, to this day, and my kids have been in school since May, lots of confusion. Lots of confusion. And I got to tell you, parents from New York and California, with some schools that just open it up with only, what? They want to open up with 1 or 2 months left in school year. They're going to open up. There's going to be a steep learning curve for the teachers, definitely for the students, and definitely for you as parents. And it takes months and months to get used to. Even though your kids are going back to school and you're celebrating, it's going to be months before they can really focus on the actual math, the reading, because you have to learn different computer systems, different software systems. Even if you're going to the same school and you have 7, 8, 9 classes, whatever how many classes you have, hey, we're using 3 different programs for each of my kids. Not just everyone uses one program and no, you got to go different places, and it's crazy. And the teachers are confused. You try learning a new software program in a month. It's impossible. I mean, I'm doing this on Vimeo. It took me 6, 9 months to really get good and, doing all the taping and stuff like that and video. It takes a long time to learn any software program. So expect that if you're in New York, California, good luck. If you're back to school, it's months before you really get to understand this system, and especially your kids, before they really start learning stuff again. But again, I asked a question. Why have our scientists, so-called experts, scholars, largest teaching institutions, why have they not run studies on the effect of lockdowns, the effects of social distancing? Why didn't they do this in May, June, July, August? Why? Because the cure for this virus, and to stop spreading, has now become worse than COVID itself. There's lots of responsibility to go around here. Which, of course, that one politician, statistician, scientist will admit, no way, never admit to being wrong if you're a political figure. It's not allowed. It's not the American way anymore. It's no mistakes. I'm always right. I'm arrogant, which is so effing sad. That's what we see. We saw it from Trump. We saw it from Biden. We see it from everybody. They never say that they're wrong. Ever. Trump said numerous times, this isn't a big deal. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's bullshit. You should have known. Biden saying, it's all Trump's fault. It's that you killed Trump, right? You made fun of Trump when he closed the borders in January. You made fun of him, which means this would have spread a lot faster. Biden would never admit that. Those are all facts. Again, the political spectrum across all of it. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. But I know you care about your family and your kids and working. And that's what these politicians are controlling right now. So as an investor, how do you look at this? This country is going to open up a lot faster than anyone thinks. They can't stop it no more. Airlines are going to be booked for months out. There'll be no hotel rooms available for months out. Rent-a-car companies will thrive. Travel-related companies still have loads of upside potential. Something that everyone who is a subscriber to any of my products should be benefiting a ton from, since we were early to this party. Looking at the Russell 2000, many of those travel-related stocks are smaller names in the Russell 2000. It's up 20% this year. It's almost 4 times what the NASDAQ is up. This year, 20%. Only March 17th. I don't suggest buying the major cruise lines here, whose enterprise values are all higher right now than pre-COVID levels due to the massive capital raises they have over the past month, because they still have no cruise in operation, and they just suspended those cruises for a couple more months. It's pretty crazy. You have a higher valuation with no cruises, with no ships, right, in operation, than pre-COVID when all these ships were in operation. Getting a little ahead of yourself. You got to be careful. But you look at Vegas, starting to boom. It's based on recent reports. Open up 50%. MGM said they're opening up more than that. Avis Rent-A-Car bought this a while ago when Hertz went under. These guys were great. They did a great job deleveraging. Up big on it, but I still see more upside. Expedia's another name we're up a lot on, where earnings are going to explode higher in the months and years ahead. Huge demand. You may ask, why are profits going to explode? Well, for one reason, talk about profits here. These companies cut costs dramatically during COVID. They cut salaries. So what happens when business goes back to normal and starts surging? It results in an explosion in earnings. Trust me, I've been analyzing it for 25 years. The best companies to buy are those that have had problems and they cut costs and they restructure. And once they get that restructure in, their costs are so low. And once they find out, hey, these are the divisions that are working, this is what we're going to focus on, that's when you see the stock explode. 5x, 10x, 20x. That's how you make the biggest gains. And that's what we're seeing. And it's just the beginning. Another reason why they're going to explode is the recent stimulus bill of $1.9 trillion just passed. So $1,400 checks for everyone. Here you go. Handing out money, trillions. It's going to result in the U.S. personal savings rate surging to around 18%. What does that mean? That's 11% higher than normal. So if you want to put numbers on this, that's close to $2 trillion consumers will have to spend on whatever they want after they get these checks. $2 trillion combined with all the other stimulus plans. And you know as well as I do, everyone in this country is dying for a vacation. They're dying to go out. They're going to start spending money like crazy well through the summer, likely through 2021, because they're dying to go out. They've been locked up. They've been in with their kids. So while our government refuses to report facts, continues to give us mandates based on zero data or scientific proof, you can do two things. You can bitch about it all you want to your friends and family, which I know a lot of people on the left are going to be sending me emails about this intro. Right, you know what you're talking about. Again, go to CDC. Don't yell at me. Look at the stats. It's fine. Again, you can bitch all about it. That's fine. I don't care. Or you could choose to position your portfolio to maximize your returns and be incredibly wealthy, which is why anyone who owns assets is making a fortune right now. Again, you could do this by buying the reopen trade. I mean, subscribers have been doing since September, October. Shared a few names with you just recently. I would include airlines in there, which are 52-week highs, but still down 20-25% from all-time highs. Buy cyclical names. Cyclical names do better when the economy recovers and come down when the economy's not doing it. We're going to see an explosion in the economy. It's likely going to grow north of 7% this year, which will mark the first time, and I believe, in over 40 years that our economy grew faster than China's. Again, we had COVID, stuff like that, but still, pretty remarkable. Developed nation growing, the biggest nation, 6%. I know how bad it was. Believe me, I know. The economy was crap last year, but this year, different story. Cyclical names, that's banks, consumer discretionary names that lag the overall market because some of these names are up enormously from their March lows. Some restaurant names and retailers and things like that. But there's a lot that have lagged. And when everything opens up, these guys are going to see an explosion in earnings, explosion in demand.